Welcome to the Be Happy Now show. Flex your soul connection muscle and be your inner guide to fulfillment and purpose. I'm Claudia-Sam. If you know that you're here for a bigger reason, this is the place to be. Together, we ditch the self-care guilt and quit the go with less fear and more trust. Tune in to living life in alignment with your full potential. The Be Happy Now show starts now. Welcome back to the Be Happy Now show. This episode is a beautiful opportunity for you to reconnect with what it is that you want, that big thing that you want, that one of my friends and coaches, Kayla Jetta from Rise Leadership Circle, calls your poop goal. And the poop goal is that which is so scary to say out loud that you just might go, well, shit in your pants. When you think about that big poop goal, how do you actually believe that it's yours instead of thinking that it's so far out, unreachable out there? Because you want it to come true. Like there's a reason why that goal came to you. There's a reason why you want that for you, why you feel so in alignment and connected to that being yours. And in the Zoom room, I've got beautiful soul connectors, women who are with me to have this conversation. And when you're part of the Be Happy Now show crew, meaning when you're on my email list and you're in my free Facebook group, then you also get to know about these events. And I'm hosting them once in a while where we're both doing the Be Happy Now show live, and then we are recorded like today, and we are then having the second portion of the hour be a live Q&A and a coaching session so that you can experiment and see within yourself, what is this opening up for me? What's becoming available? What does coaching even do for me? Like, what's going on here? So we're going to have this conversation in the Zoom room, and I want to say that I do see your comments, and if you have any questions, ladies, please feel free to write them in there as we go. This is going to be fun. So here's something that I think is really cool when we think about belief. Like, imagine what would be the opposite of belief? To me, the opposite of belief, and when I say to me, I mean, this isn't an opinion per se. When I connected to this topic today, how I usually work through this is that I breathe and I tune in and I allow the voice of the divine to flow through me to answer these questions. So it's not so much coming from my ego as my human is channeling this for you. So the opposite of belief for you could be fear. Yeah, thank you. What came through was skepticism. Skepticism being the opposite of belief, as in it gives more weight to what's not working. Like the what if the shit actually goes everywhere, okay? So what if this thing goes wrong? What if this doesn't happen? What if I fail? What if actually I get judged and pushed aside and ridiculed, right? Skepticism being one of the opposites of belief, puts that weight on the thing that might go wrong. It's like, in other words, proving to yourself that you're wrong. Winning, being right. Sneak peek to my family's holiday table. I remember being a child sitting at the small table next to the big adult table. And the adults at some point were fighting over who was right so much to the level that some of them had their hands on the table and were standing out of their chairs, leaning forward towards the middle of the table because they were so attached to being right. That's what the opposite of belief does. It wants to prove that this thing that can go wrong will actually go wrong. So when you're laying in your bed at night and you're overthinking because you think that it might help you to forecast and prepare and control what might happen. So you overthink it and you make all these stories in your mind. Like, does that resonate with you? That is fueling skepticism. That is fueling the opposite of belief, because it's like it's this addiction to a holding tight energy, the winning, the being right, the I'm going to prove ego. That's the ego. Ego is wanting to prove that it is right, hence that things can go wrong, that things will go wrong. How else can it go? There is no doubt that there are multiple possibilities to a plan. So to that big poop goal, it can go right. It can go right times 1,001. It can go wrong. It can go, but then again, the right and wrong is based on your judgment and based on, what that means to you. So for the belief in your goals coming true to be ramped up, you get to see all possibilities. By all possibilities, I mean, then you get to choose, okay, which one am I going to focus on? Because what's really the benefit of being right with things not working out? Or, see, this didn't turn out great. I told you so. Like, what is the benefit of that? That's what the ego wants. And that's the opposite of belief. There's like, what came to me was there's this Popeye-like energy of thinking you have the solution to every problem because, the ego's the savior by being right, by having calculated all the things that can go wrong, by having foreseen and forecasted all the different negative possibilities. It's only from like what the mind can even handle. Here's a truth. You are not the ego. You are not the ego, hence, you are not separate to love. Okay? Since you're not separate to love, you are love. Love created you as itself. That's what A Course in Miracles says. You're not alone. And you cannot fail. It's a truth that you cannot fail because you are love. So all the possibilities are right. So when we think about believing in our goals and we actually don't really believe in them because we think of all the other things that can go wrong, how much the judgment of other people can knock us down, for example, that means that we think we are attacked and we can be attacked. A Course in Miracles says that there's no such thing because you are love. Love cannot be attacked. So that means that actually we're being in the ego that wants to be right. And if we think that we're alone in this, that's not being in belief, that's being egocentric. Okay? If we think we're alone in this, it's not being in belief, it's being egocentric. It's holding on tight. Whereas the universe has something to say here. And when we think we need to prove, we need to be right, we need to think of all the ways that this thing can go wrong and that we put our focus on that and these negative possibilities, it's like thinking we can lone wolf it, go at it alone, and that we're not supported by the universe whatsoever. Whoa. Okay. Here's an example. Tangible example. When I traveled from Canada to New Zealand and I was moving, so my boyfriend, Pierre Michel, and I were on 3 flights. We had 8 suitcases. Here were some of the possibilities. 1, all will arrive late or some will arrive late. That's one possibility. 2, they'll all get lost or some will get lost. 3, all of them will arrive with me or some will arrive with me. 4, they're all going to be damaged or some will be damaged. 5, all will be intact or some will be intact. Do you see how this list can go on? Like the possibilities are endless, but the mind, the ego mind has us believe that we've got it all under control and that we can see it all. That we can control what can happen. So we're going to overthink and we're going to be skeptical as to what is possible. because we feel safe in skepticism because then we can control. Belief is also trust. Okay, so we're going to use the word trust from now in this conversation. I get to trust in any of these possibilities. It's my choice to put more of my focus on one of these possibilities or none of them. So, what is the real benefit of putting my focus on they're all going to get damaged, they're all going to get lost, I'm never going to be able to paddleboard with my paddleboard? Like, what's really the benefit in that? I could also choose, like, some people feel very safe in over analysis and pros and cons lists. And I mean, I feel I have felt safe there. I have felt safe in the need to know. And it's softening now for me because the possibility of, like, okay, I can choose to calculate a certain percentage of how many suitcases were ever damaged by this airline, or how long it ever took on average to get the luggage to their destination by these airlines, or how many staff members ever did human errors to not just like reading some numbers correctly or incorrectly, like, or how many scanners did or didn't work, did or didn't do their job by moving the luggage to where they're supposed to go. Like, I could develop my trust in those facts. I could. What's the benefit of that? I can also choose to trust in the service of the airline and their expertise and recognize that's also a choice. I can recognize where I have control and where I don't. I can. I have no idea how that scanning system works. Okay. For example, I don't. So it's my choice. The level of importance I place on all of these possibilities, luggage-wise, is my choice. So when it comes to believing in your big poop goal, it is a choice to go, am I going to put my focus on that tiny possibility that it's not going to happen exactly like my mind, ego mind, thinks? Because the ego wants us to stay safe, by the way, so it doesn't like change. So because it doesn't like change, it can sometimes feel more sticky or hard to go with the possibility that's so open and wide and so many beautiful things can happen because the ego has no control and it's unsafe there because it's unknown. Again, you have a choice. That's what we do in the tune-in program. We dance with ego and soul. And if ever you're curious about joining the tune-in program and really doing this work from within you so that you can, well, dance with ego and soul, get out of the head, get into your heart, you can go to tuneinprogram.com or tuneinmethod.com. I forget which URL works. Try it out. Tuneinprogram.com or tuneinmethod.com. The choice that we have to put on where we focus our attention, which possibility we give more weight to, more presence to, right? That's also very much in link with A Course in Miracles says that where there is a grievance, there is no miracle. A miracle is an expression of love. Where there is grievance, there is no miracle, meaning where there is lack, there is no abundance. Where we focus on what's not working, we don't see what's working. Okay. So in terms of like luggage wise, what makes me care so much? Isn't it much easier to go, it's all going to work out? That's the possibility. Whatever the working out is, I know that it can be all of these possibilities and I trust that all of them are okay. What does my level of worry actually do for me anyway? Nothing. It raises my heart rate, or actually not nothing. Worry raises my heart rate, has me breathe less deeply, has me have panic attacks properly, has me overthink, not sleep in the plane, arrive jet lagged, and the list goes on. Those are also these other possibilities. So on a level of 1 to 10, I'd say that my luggage was 7 out of 10 important to me. Okay. As in, there's a lot of things that are emotional for me, or that I, that they're important to my heart. And some are just material that you can just go buy again. Okay. So I kind of care, but not enough to make sure that all the pieces of luggage are insured or tracked by me, and that I make, I think you get it. So I choose to trust that they'll get to their destination, maybe not all at the same time, but it's all going to come at their own time, based on, what we're meant to experience. So the result was 7 out of 10, out of 8, 7 out of 8 made it in time. And we were able to get money from the airline because the last 8th piece of luggage was late. And that last piece of luggage ended up, it wasn't a disaster at all, because the suitcase that was missing was my partner's paddleboard and some summer clothes. And it turns out we arrived in winter. So you see how that worked out? Yeah. And he paddles board just to come with me, so it's not like he was going to go on his own. So that's funny. But how does this have to do with, believing in your goals? Is that you get to be aware of all the possibilities, and even the good ones, because most often when I speak with my clients, I mean, now that, when we're working together, it's easier to see the good possibilities and focus on those, because you've brought yourself from not seeing the good ones to seeing the good ones. But even before I start working with my clients, it's hard to focus on what you want, what's working, celebrations. When I start my coaching calls, asking them, what are you so proud of? What's been working? And sometimes it's hard to get one out, because we have not been practicing our brain to focus on what's working. Hence, we have been giving power to the ego, thinking that we're separate to love and success, making it mean that we have to look at all the possibilities of it not working first. But this is like the time when you get to turn the page and choose differently if you want to. You don't have to. We really don't. You might feel it's really uncomfortable to look at what's working. And then I can challenge you and say, is it more comfortable to stay in the skepticism? You get to answer that for yourself. And I get to give you a big virtual hug. Okay. So I see the good, like when I see that this whole situation had us receive abundance. It had us receive financial abundance. It had me develop my trust muscle even more, right? And I think that my attitude was very supportive as well to my nervous system, because it was able to be calm. We slept through the whole flight from Vancouver to Oakland. That, I think it was 11 hours and 50 minutes or something like that. I mean, I slept through the whole time, the moment. I think we slept 8 hours in that whole flight. We slept through the night. So we arrived a bit like oozy, but it could have been way worse. And I believe that this attitude supported my nervous system to feel safe, healthy, optimally, didn't rob me of any joy of arriving in New Zealand, because I decided that it wouldn't rob me of my joy, that I could see all the possibilities. So I have 3 steps for you. How do you believe in your goals so that they can actually come true? Step 1, dare to see the good. Dare to be with the possibility of the good. You don't have to believe it right away, but you can see it. Step 2, dare to be with the possibility of less good. So dare to be with the possibility of less good. That means if the possibility of it not working, like the worst case scenario, how does that feel? Can you be with that emotion for a moment? Because you're leaving it, you're allowing the emotion to flow through you, because it gets to. Otherwise, it'll just keep molding your thoughts of it can happen, it can happen, where you're like, okay, I'm going to give you some space. What can happen? I'm going to be with this. I'm going to feel that. Then I'm going to go, whoa, that's not empowering. I'm going to choose differently. So that second step was dare to be with the possibility of the less good, emotion-wise. Third and last step, choose the one to put the most attention to. Choose the one possibility you want to highlight. If you're like me, you like to read these many books with highlighters. So what will you highlight in these possibilities? You get to decide. This is where your power lies. Presence to what is, to all of it, is where your power is. Because with the presence of all the possibilities, then you can make an informed decision. Not an informed decision based on all the facts, based on everybody else's need to be right, need to prove, and your ego's desire to keep you safe. You get to make an informed decision based on how you feel, based on what you choose, because you know the importance of that poop goal to create the ripple effects in life, to help you grow your business to the level that you know you're here to change the world and authentically step into who you are so that you get to make an impact and even bigger, right? You get to inspire other people to be in their light. That's why I'm here. I'm here to help you be in your light. And I'm so excited that that is my truth. And I'm so glad that you're here. Let's take a deep breath in together. Plant your feet on the ground. Roll the shoulders up and back. Deep breath in. Out through the mouth. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. If you're like, ooh, I really like the tune-in method, I think I would want to practice this and be held accountable and really raise my level of confidence so that I can trust myself and actually live the life I'm meant to live, well, feel free to go to, I think it is tuneinmethod.com. But if you're like, hey, I just want to dip my toes in the water, then we also help you to stay accountable within the Soul Connector Circle. And the Soul Connector Circle is a place where you get to be heard and seen, and you receive daily pocket soul coaching messages from me so that you can kind of just flex your soul connection muscle a little bit until you're ready to, go swimming into your inside and build your intuition and really receive personalized attention. And so you can go to soulconnectorcircle.com. Let me just put that in the chat real quick. And if you're soulconnectorcircle.com, if you're on YouTube or listening or watching this podcast anywhere you find your podcast, all the links are in the show notes. And, I'm human and I'd love to hear from you. So if you have any questions from this episode, just reach out to me on Facebook. Make sure you friend me so that when you send me a DM, I can actually see it. Okay, so friend me on Facebook, my whole name, Claudia-Sam Cataford Sauvé. Friend me, send me a DM, tell me that you've watched this episode number 121, and I'll be happy to hear from you and see where you're at. Okay. Have a great rest of your day, and thank you so much for being here. I'll see you again next week.
You've been listening to the Be Happy Now show with me, Claudia-Sam. Flex your soul connection muscle and be your inner guide to fulfillment and purpose. You are worthy of being you and of connecting to what stops you from living the life you are meant to live. Access more soul connection coaching at claudiasamcoaching.com.